Hi, you're on the Retelling Films channel, and this is a retelling of the movie Spaceman. A man embarks on a solo flight in a spaceship to a mysterious dust cloud. As he approaches the cloud, he discovers a huge, intelligent, talking spider aboard the ship who is going through his memories to help mend his relationship with his wife left on Earth. The movie begins with a spaceman in a spacesuit walking along a forest stream. He is wading knee-deep in water, inspecting the thickets, but it turns out to be a nostalgic dream of the main character named Jakub, who is flying alone in a spaceship. He's awakened by a signal. The communications are coming from the Earth. When he reaches the communications center, he turns on the broadcast. It's been 189 days of solo flight to the mysterious dust cloud. From the Earth, the flight of the Czech astronaut is watched by many, including the curator of Tuma. Through a video link, Jakub shows a photo of the dust cloud and says that within a week he will collect the first samples. Answering questions, Jakub says that thanks to daily calls with his wife Lenka, he does not feel lonely. Besides, almost half of the expedition has passed, and he will soon return home. The pilot is not aware that his wife is planning to leave him because the flight control center hides this information. Jakub calls Peter, a technician from tech support, to discuss fixing the toilet, but the priority is fixing the security cameras. Jakub wonders why his spouse has stopped contacting him. On the Earth, Peter and Tuma, watching Lenka's video, decide that Jakub has enough stress as it is, not worth adding to it with bad news from home. The astronaut tries to contact his wife via a special customized device, but she does not respond. While he is drinking sleeping pills, the ship is slowly flying through the vacuum towards a mysterious dust cloud. Awakened by the hum of a broken toilet, Jakub looks in the mirror and sees something alien crawling under his skin, with legs like those of a spider. The parasite is ready to get out through its mouth, but then Jakub wakes up all alone again. While practicing sample collection, Jakub learns from Peter that half of the cameras on board have malfunctioned, but the astronaut is more interested in why his wife is not in contact. During another attempt to call his wife, Jakub is answered by an unfamiliar male voice offering help. He reports this to Peter, but writes it off as fatigue and interference in the airwaves. But Peter responds by saying that Lenka has gone to her mother's house, so she does not answer. At night, woken up by noise astronaut checking the interiors of the ship, he closes the open doors of the kitchen cabinet, then goes to the toilet, but it is occupied. A huge spider, which is as tall as a man, flies in weightlessness. Jakub calls the flight control center, but they can't see anything because the cameras aren't working. Then he opens the door again to make sure he is not dreaming, and the spider speaks to him. Jakub hides in a sealed chamber where he reports to the Earth that the room needs to be sanitized. Putting on his spacesuit, he waits for the procedure to begin, but Peter insists that the advertising slogan must be spoken first, because that's what the sponsors insist. Obeying, the astronaut turns on the disinfection, and the spider is engulfed in yellow puffs of smoke. While waiting for the atmosphere to recover, Jakub is reluctant to tell Peter about the visions. As he opens the airlock, he hears the spider's voice again. The decontamination has only caused a runny nose, and he sneezes on the astronaut's helmet. The spider says he won't hurt the main character. When the man wants to touch him to make sure he's real, Spider asks not to because it's not their custom. Taking off his spacesuit, the astronaut continues the conversation. The alien admits that he is a researcher studying humans from space, but when Jakub went on the flight, his loneliness interested the spider. Believing he could help, he made contact. Unable to comprehend the new data, the man went to bed, drinking more sleeping pills. Waking up, the astronaut goes in search of the star spider. The one is nearby and sends him memories from the past to help him cope with the emotional problem caused by the departure of his wife. Jakub does not suspect that his pregnant wife has been planning to leave for a long time. A cosmonaut is watching video footage of Lenka when an alien enters his cabin. His curiosity is piqued by cans of food decorated with portraits of Jakub, and he is also interested in the chicken eggs he would like to try. Since there are none on board, the man offers chocolate paste, the taste of which reminds Spider of food from his home planet, which was attacked, forcing him to flee. Peter gets in touch, lying about his wife's transmitter, saying the engineers are fixing it, but now Jakub is more interested in contacting the alien civilization. Spider, looking out the porthole, says that the dust cloud contains particles of matter from the beginning of the universe. Analyzing Jakub's memories, Spider wonders why people make promises that are easy to break. He also wonders why the man misses his wife when she leaves, but his feelings were not as strong while they were together. To make communication easier, the man gives the guest a name, Hanush. The alien keeps digging into the main character's head, pulling out happy memories of love for Lenka. He wants to understand where all those feelings went. At night, Jakub dreams of a pig flying around the ship, not because his imagination is running wild, but just echoes of his childhood spent on the farm. He is awakened again by the hum of the malfunctioning toilet, where Hanush sleeps in the embrace of the space toilet, the vibrations soothing him. In the morning, when Jakub goes for his obligatory jog to keep fit, Spider asks him about his father, who was burned alive by evil neighbors for his adherence to communist views. Hanush says that it's not worth atoning for his father's sins. It's better to be a good father to his daughter. On the Earth, Tuma's handler goes to discuss the problem with Lenka, who complains to her friend that she has fallen out of love with her husband and is ready to raise the child alone. Tuma informs her that she hasn't sent the video to her husband and asks the woman to get back in touch with him. Jakub is in the middle of the vastness of space, practicing sample collection manipulations again. We're 2 days away from the due date. Suddenly, a recording of an old conversation with Lenka on board is turned on. The astronaut tries to turn it off, but to no avail. Suddenly, a glowing purple dot appears in front of him, a particle from the beginning of the universe that came here from the dust cloud. Jakub chases after it with a food container to catch it like a butterfly, but it easily passes through the plastic walls and then through the partitions of the ship. The resourceful hero grabs a toilet pump and sucks up the particle, fixing the pump in the process. Jakub is forced to search for the particle in the waste tank, but finds none. But more and more glowing particles appear on board, moving as if alive. The man watches them swirl in flight and disappear through the porthole. Hanush draws out and visualizes a case of miscarriage when Lenka lost her firstborn. Her husband at the time was undergoing training for a space flight. Now the situation is repeated with the difference that he is not in a simulation, but actually in space. When the ship approaches a cloud, the pregnant Lenka finds herself in a secluded community for similarly lonely women in labor. Jakub digs through the wires trying to find the fault, while the spider explains to him why his relationship with his wife has deteriorated. Obsessed with making a great discovery for himself, and for the tech people as a whole, the astronaut completely forgot about the promises he made to his wife, which ultimately undermined her trust in him. Jakub manages to reconfigure the video terminal to call Peter and report the situation, at which point Hanush analyzes his memories. The spider comes to the conclusion that the interlocutor is a banal egoist and simply abandoned his wife on Earth, hiding behind a great mission. At this point, his interest in the astronaut wanes. The spider wants to leave, but the man asks him to stay. This almost leads to a fight. The alien does not like the touch, pressing Jakub against the wall. He says goodbye to him and leaves him alone with his research in the loneliness in which he caught him for the first time. The cosmonaut flies inside the ship, hoping to find an unexpected friend, but the space continues to be silent. Out of longing and loneliness, Jakub uncorks a bottle of vodka. He indulges in memories of his wife, spinning in weightlessness and spilling alcohol. During another communication session, the cosmonaut tells Peter not to sit over his head, controlling his every move, but to go to Lenka to convince her to listen to him. He goes to the birthing shelter to relieve Jakub's mental state. Leaving his phone behind, Peter goes out. Jakub speaks, not even knowing if his wife can hear him as the latter is silent. He apologizes for his callousness and says that he realized how happy he was to be around her, and all his dreams of outer space are nothing against his desire to be with her. Finished with his confession, he cuts the connection without hearing a word back. When he wakes up, the alien is crawling around the ship. He doesn't want to face the mysterious dust cloud alone. Jakub notices that something is wrong with him, and Hanush admits that he left the planet too late after the attack and is now dying. The astronaut wonders why he didn't come clean sooner, to which the guest replies that Jakub wasn't interested in his life anyway. The man reaches out his arms to him, and the spider swims to his friend to hug him. It is less than 24 hours before contact with the dust cloud. Lenka watches the glow in the sky from the ground and on the ship, Hanush wakes Jakub. He brings chocolate paste and a bag of coffee. Today is their day of great discoveries. Waking up, the astronaut plugs in his phone and checks the connection. Since the camera is not working, the Mission Control Center broadcasts Jakub's previous address, in which he thanks his wife for her patience and support, among other things. The astronaut himself, meanwhile, is deploying the ship's systems into operational mode, preparing to intercept samples of space dust. Harmful parasites hatch inside Hanush. He says that death has caught up with him and disappears. Jakub, forgetting his assignment, rushes to find his friend, scaring the control center with his screams. He finds Hanush in the porthole. The spider is already outside, consumed by the parasites. He pushes off with his paws and flies away, saying goodbye to the man. Alerting the control center that something must be done, Jakub takes a cylinder of disinfectant mixture and, opening the outer airlock, leaves the ship. Attaching the lifeline, he flies to the Hanush circling in the void to water the jet from the tank and shoot down the parasites. No matter how hard the hero tries, the jet propulsion throws the astronaut back against the side of the ship, severing the lifeline. Inertia carries Jakub farther and farther away from the ship. Tumbling through the vacuum, he bumps into Hanush and encloses him in a tight embrace. The spider is alive, but the parasites are still inside him, and soon they will finish what they started. Dangling in weightlessness, far from home, in clouds of space dust and admiring the abandoned spaceship, Jakub suddenly tells Hanush a secret he has never shared even with his wife. Once when he was a child, he almost drowned and was pulled out of the water by his father. The spider says that this is not the end, and, grabbing the astronaut by the hand, draws him into the clouds of stardust. Inside, the threads of destinies intertwine, and time itself curls into a ball, stretching space into infinity. The man and the spider end up hanging out in a pink mist, in the middle of the great nothing. Jakub remembers Lenka, his wife, and how he met her for the first time. Hanush calculates the probability that he and he met in space. Soon, as the spider grows weaker, the man hands him a specially preserved jar of paste to brighten his last moment. He savors the flavor before the flesh-eating parasites burst from within and Hanush's life ends, giving rise to another. Jakub can only watch, as the cloud of maggots devours his friend and floats away into the darkness. And to Jakub himself, the fog points the way to the light. On the ground, Lenka sees a purple light that rises to the sky, where a cloud of dust glows and her husband floats. They call each other by name, crossing an unthinkable distance, and then it turns out that the source of the light is not the fog, but the spaceship of the South Korean mission. From there, a similar astronaut reaches out to him on a lifeline. From aboard the ship, Jakub calls his wife. He says that if he knew in the past what he knows now, he would never trade her for space. She replies that if she knew in the past what she knows now, she would still kiss him, and that's where the movie ends. What do you think about this movie? Write your thoughts about the movie in the comments. If you liked my short retelling, then put likes and subscribe to not miss new videos. See you soon!